If you are thinking about moving overseas with kids, there are a few things no one really tells you, and some of them hit harder than you would expect. Everyone talks about how amazing it is to raise kids overseas, and you see the photos, you hear the stories, the beaches, the travel, the culture, the freedom, the experiences. Don't get me wrong, a lot of that is true. We've seen so much of Southeast Asia as a family already, and there's still so much more to see. But there's another side to moving overseas with kids that doesn't get talked about very often. Not because people are lying, but because it's uncomfortable to admit. So I want to start this video by saying something clearly. Moving overseas with kids isn't just a lifestyle decision, it's an emotional one. And while it absolutely changes their lives, it also reshapes yours in ways you don't expect. Because the real surprise for me wasn't the country, it was how differently my wife and I experienced it. And that's where this story really begins. When we decided to move to Southeast Asia with our kids, I genuinely thought that the hardest parts would be practical, like schools and housing, cost of living, logistics. What I didn't understand at the time was how much of a challenge it would be internal. For them, for us as parents, for me personally. And a big part of that came down to something my wife and I didn't fully appreciate. We were imagining our kids' upbringing very differently. My wife grew up overseas, different countries, different cultures. Travel was normal, change was normal. So for her, raising kids abroad felt familiar, exciting, natural. But for me, it was the opposite. I'd lived my entire life in Australia. Beach suburbs, familiar systems, familiar routines and people, and the upbringing I imagined for our kids, it looked a lot like the one I had. Stable, predictable, close to family and close to home. And neither of us were wrong. But we were just coming from very different reference points. So when we moved, I was the one doing most of the emotional adjusting. But even that wasn't the hardest part. The hardest part was realizing something pretty simple. Adults can explain change. Kids can't. As adults, when we make a decision like moving overseas, we usually have a reason. We tell ourselves that this will be better long term. It's an opportunity. This will give us more freedom. It will give us more support. And in Southeast Asia, there are real advantages. Help around the house, nannies, cleaners, drivers, support systems that don't exist the same way back home. But kids, they don't think like that. They don't rationalize change. They feel it. At first, our kids were excited, new country, new experiences. It felt like an adventure. But like most big changes, that honeymoon phase, it fades. And when it does, what's left is unfamiliar routines, new schools, new accents, new expectations. And then add in the heat, especially going to and from school every day. And suddenly the world they understood, it feels very far away. That's when the emotional side really shows up. And that's when you realize something else. Every child handles change differently, and so do you. One thing that surprised me was how differently our kids processed the move. Our son had a speech delay when we arrived. He was already struggling at school and with communication. In many ways, moving here actually helped him. We were able to get extra support, a nanny who attended school with him early on, and teachers that were very hands-on. He struggled at first, but over time he settled in really, really well. Our daughter needed something different. She asked more questions and she needed more reassurance. She's the social one, always has been, so socially the move hit her harder. She struggled a bit at first, trying to find her place among so many different cultures. And that's when it really hit me. Why we chose this move, they didn't. It doesn't mean it was wrong. It means that you carry more responsibility than you expect. And if you've ever made a big decision for your family and quietly questioned it later, you understand that feeling. Because once you've moved, it's not just about adapting, it's about rebuilding your identity. And I believe nowhere else is that more obvious than at school. This part really caught us off guard. School isn't just about learning. For kids, school is identity. It's where friendships form, where confidence grows, where they learn who they are and who they are in the world, I guess, in some extent. When you move overseas, you're not just changing schools, you're asking them to rebuild that identity from zero, new systems, new cultures, new social rules. For most families overseas, that means international schools. They can be fantastic, but they also come with pressure. Kids from all over the world, all going through their own transitions, all trying to fit in. Coming from a public school in Australia into that environment, it can feel exciting or overwhelming, sometimes both. There were moments I caught myself thinking, are we asking too much of them? Is this really the upbringing I imagined? And those questions, they don't come once, they just keep coming over and over again. Especially when school gets tough, friendships shift, or homesickness creeps in. You don't see that side online, but it's real. And when school feels uncertain, you feel it too. One of the hardest parts of moving overseas with kids is something I didn't think about until it was gone. You lose your village. No grandparents dropping by, no familiar support network, no close friends to lean on. We were lucky in some ways. My father-in-law and my wife's uncle were already living here. And one of the real positives of Southeast Asia is access to support. Having nannies and household help, it made a huge difference. It gave us breathing room and time that we never had when we were back home in Australia. But even with that help, you're still rebuilding your village from scratch, and it takes time. And once the dust settles, once the logistics and everything's handled, that's when something unexpected shows up. It's not about the kids anymore. It's about you. And that's when I realized this move wasn't just changing my kids, it was reshaping me. When we moved overseas with our kids, I thought the biggest challenge would be them adjusting. What I didn't expect was how much I would change. Because when you're the one who makes the decision, you also can carry the doubt. Every tough day your kids have, every moment they struggle, every time they say they miss home or their friends at home, you don't just comfort them, you question yourself. I chose this. I chose the country, the school, the lifestyle. So when things felt hard, the guilt, it felt personal. Was this too soon? Was this for me or more for them? But something else happened over time. Slowing down changed how I parented. Back in Australia, I was physically present, but mentally I was somewhere else. Here, life forced me to slow down. And in that space, I became more available. Not perfect, but just more present. I stopped trying to fix everything immediately. I listened more, I reacted less. And that changed my relationship with my kids. But it also forced me to ask a bigger question. If I'm not who I used to be, then who am I becoming? Because once you stop surviving the move, you start redefining yourself. And that's what this move really gave me. When people ask if moving overseas was worth it, they usually just want a simple answer, yes or no. But the truth is, this move didn't just change where we live. It reshaped how I see myself. I stopped defining myself purely by work, money, and productivity with the businesses and things like that. I slowed down enough to actually listen to myself. I realized I wasn't failing, I was just exhausted. This move didn't give me all the answers, but it did give me clarity. It didn't make life easier, but it made it more intentional. And look, for me, that is worth more than comfort. If you're at a point in your life where things look fine on the outside, but something feels off on the inside, you're not broken. You might just be ready for a different conversation with yourself. Maybe that's why this conversation matters. Because sometimes moving countries, it's not about geography, it's about growth. So if this resonated with you, if you're a parent quietly questioning big life decisions, or even if you're in your 40s wondering, is this really it? You're not alone. Just drop a comment below and tell me where you're at. I generally read them all, and I get back to pretty much all of them as well. And if you want more honest conversations about family, purpose, travel, mental health, and starting all over again later in life, hit subscribe. There's no hype, no selling dreams, just real life on this channel. Thank you for watching. Aussie and Asia out.